Hi, it's me, and that's him, and we're the Sci-Fi Scholars.
And we are talking The Great Wall.
So, The Great Wall is Matt Damon visits China to get gunpowder and finds monsters.
Pretty much.
And
That's the movie in a nutshell.
and then and then decides to fight monsters.
True, but I mean...
Yeah.
Well, we just spoiled the entire movie.
No more than any of the trailers did.
Yeah, true.
Every trailer was like Matt Damon jumping off the wall to fight a monster.
Yeah. It's...
It looks cool.
It's really well made, really well directed. I just can't call it a good movie. But I freaking enjoyed it.
It was silly.
It was so stupid, but I really enjoyed it.
Like I made a comment earlier to you. Like, it reminds me of how we felt about after we saw Gods of Egypt.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
But this movie
Was actually
is a hell of a lot more of a good movie than this. So, Gods of
It's a lot-
Egypt is absolutely terrible, but enjoyable. This movie's not really good.
it's an okay movie. The plot's a bit weak,
Yeah.
but it looks really good and has a lot of fun, exciting moments.
Yeah. What I liked, for me, almost the best bit about the entire movie was the uniforms.
They were really, really...
Like some of that cinematography and that, and the way they brought all the troops together and the different colours meant different things, and then the leaders and whatnot. I was just like, I was loving that.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks really cool and is made really well. Like, it may not be entirely realistic. I don't really know how that all works in their society, but for me, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the best bits about the entire movie. And I really liked, I can't remember her name now, the main chick
Yeah.
in the blue. We probably should have looked that up before we started. Oh, well, down there. Like, apart from the fact that English isn't obviously her first language, so some of the lines feel probably a little bit forced because she's struggling, well, maybe not struggling, but just purely because of...
Yeah, she's only learnt English in the movie from the previous people who came to get gunpowder.
Yeah, which is why I didn't mind it.
Yeah. So, even in the movie, it makes sense that the people at the Great Wall who don't speak English well don't speak English well, because they've only met a few people who've come
So for the black powder.
for the black powder, which is reasonably historically accurate. Like, China was one of the first places in the world to weaponize it. Like, it was either like China or Korea or like somewhere in that area. And the people did travel from Europe to China along trading routes to do deals. So that part makes sense. The fact that China's using gunpowder against a massive alien, or basically monster race, because someone else was
because
like...
it came from...
they
theorized it came from space.
Yeah, they basically specified that someone in the past was really greedy, and then some gods cursed them and turned them into monsters.
Or something, yeah. They weren't really clear on that part. But they didn't need to be.
But it's even possible that that's actually some Chinese mythology stuff that we've just never heard of, because...
Yeah, that's probably actually what it is.
Which, either way, like, it was interesting enough, and it wasn't outside the realms of possibility of what the movie was setting up. Like, it didn't feel like a massive...
I thought it was a cool idea to set up the Great Wall as being as something that was trying to keep out, like, monsters, like millions of monsters. I thought that was kind of cool. There was a couple of things that really did annoy me, and this one maybe not so much annoyed me, but was kind of like, stick to an accent, please. Matt Damon's accent. He goes from having that Eastern European sort of accent to not having an accent, or back to his American accent, back to this, like, depending on which scene he's in. It's almost like he's like, oh, am I American now, or am I going to go back to the character that I'm meant to be?
Well, Americans wouldn't have existed.
Yeah, that's my point.
So...
And speaking of them, like, the crew that he's running with when you first meet them, they're running away. So, yeah, and then they end up in a well, not a cave, but have the fire going and whatnot. And that's when you first meet
a monster.
a monster. But it's like, the way it was filmed was so terrible Like it had no tension in it. All it was close up of him with a sword, close up of the other guy with a sword. Shaky cam with something going on. We don't see the monster back on them. Oh, he cut off the hand. What's the hand? And I'm like, oh, okay, this scene's over. I was like, okay, they're trying to set up suspense. It's like, okay, something attacked them. We're gonna find. They kind of want to know what that is. They go to China. They get at the break wall and all that sort of stuff.
They're running away from a whole bunch of like
whatever they're running away from. I can't remember.
Hillbilly like mountain tribes.
Yeah.
Through the then they rock up at the wall. And then
they surrender to the wall.
There's a huge wall with guys on top in their like perfectly black, identical uniforms, with all bows facing at them, and they fire like a ring of arrows like perfectly around them. And they're like, "Which side are we going to surrender to?" Those guys, I think they're more organized.
But yeah, and they're like, "Oh, what's the hand? What's the hand?" And then literally like 5 minutes after the scenes on the side there with with a language barrier and whatnot, they just show a whole freaking monster. It's like, so what was the point in not showing the monster if less than five, maybe 10 minutes later in the movie, you're going to show it anyway, in its full glory?
Yeah, the other thing that really annoyed me is like, let's put them in a cell. Oh wait, we can't find our keys. We're a super organized army, but we can't find our keys.
Yeah, so we have to take him up to the... which gives him a chance to be the hero.
Yeah, because like he's tied up, and then like to one of the guys who's like outclassed, because the basics set these monsters up as like individually they can beat humans, and in mass they can probably overwhelm the wall. But the troops on the wall are extremely organized, extremely well disciplined, so they manage to win through their discipline and their training. But then this guy gets overrun and cuts Matt Damon free, and then Matt Damon is a super soldier.
Yeah, he's a great archer.
And like above average swordsman and
pretty much, yeah. But what I liked is that a lot of people were complaining with the movie that it was like, oh, a white American has to save the Chinese, like that. They're like, oh, why are you selling that sort of thing? The movie was made directed by one of a Chinese director who's one of their top dogs.
Yeah.
And he was like, see the bloody movie first. And he was right. You see the movie and. Well, yes, Matt Damon is well above par on what he can do, compared to a lot of the apart from one of the two characters that I kind of followed, he wasn't really that impressive compared to some the chick. Like the chick was pretty more impressive than he was.
Yeah, or the old general who got overrun, or like their troops were insanely skilled, and they had a lot of them. It just he happened to be a great archer and happened to be in the right place
at the right time to use that. And then also, he's obviously a good fighter as well, and he works well with his partner.
Yeah.
You saw that they work well together, and then, so it was that sort of side of things. And he obviously the movie, to get as big a budget as it did, needed to have the star power.
Yep.
And the only way they were going to make this movie the way that obviously they wanted to, which is kind of what we got, they needed someone like Matt Damon.
But having said that, it still failed in the US. Like, this movie did really, really well in China, from what I've read. Like, and being that it's the way they kind of were marketing it, because it's got Chinese directors, it's set in China, it's basically a Chinese storyline.
With a Hollywood budget.
With a Hollywood budget and a big name from Hollywood.
Yeah.
So this might be part of the new wave of movies that they're still working out how to make a Hollywood movie for the Chinese market.
Yeah,
a bit more. Very difficult because the two markets are completely different and have different interests.
Yeah, but the Chinese market is getting much bigger than the American market.
Yeah.
Like the American market is still box office. That's the main goal, but China's here now.
Yeah.
And they actually predict in less than 5-10 years, China will be up here. Which is why a lot of movies you've seen these days have a lot more friendliness towards China, and they're using a lot more Chinese influences and stuff like that, because they're realizing, hey, we got to make movies for them now, not just America.
Yeah, which there's going to be teething issues, and this was a movie that had some of those issues. Yeah. People saw it, thought it was marketed as like you said, the white guy goes to save China. When in reality, the white guy went to China to earn a ton of money by getting black powder and taking it home, and got caught up in what he decided was the only battle he's ever seen that's worth dying for.
Yeah.
Which
I thought was a cool character arc, and you saw it coming. It wasn't like anything fancy or like new, but I thought they handled that pretty well. And I liked the fact that, you know, even though it was that budding love story or relationship that kind of started hitting off about halfway through, they didn't go the trope and him like sticking around and say like going, oh, I'll stay. He ends up with his mate, staying with his mate, who survives as well. It was a bit ridiculous at the end though.
It was extremely ridiculous.
Chinese, the Emperor's city, and overrun by whatever they call them, and it was you kill the queen, they all die. And
they all go like inert.
Yeah.
Which
again, I get why they do it, because they're like, hey, we want as big and massive army as we can to make it feel overwhelming, but we got to have a way that overcomes them. And obviously, and I like the fact that it was actually the chick who, through the final,
And the typical...
She was the one that saved everyone, not him.
Yeah, the typical hubris of the lead guys, like, hey, look, we've got one of these captured. Like, don't let the troops figure out how to actually beat the thing. Let's bring it to the palace and have fun with it. Like,
yeah, I know.
And then it got out basically.
So there was those stupid tropes. But it didn't ruin.
If you think about it, if you think about like some of the stuff actual medieval kings and stuff did,
they probably would have done that. Yes.
There is a story of like a British guy who built some new trebuchets. An enemy castle surrendered to him, and he said, "No, I'm testing my giant catapults on your castle." Like, it's stupid, but it actually, like, it's the kind of things that people who think they've got, like, the call from God to have total power think they can get away with. So it makes sense from the point of view of But overall, this movie had a lot of silliness and a lot of really amazing visual
There's just
things.
something that I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
Like, I just had a fun time, and I didn't expect much walking into it. But yeah, I walked out going, I had a good time.
So
I wouldn't call it a good movie, but I had a good time.
Sequel? Pyramids of Egypt. They can do all the 7 wonders of the world.
The Wall Great.
No, that's the Hanging Gardens of, or where it is in Babylon. Like, they can do all the 7 wonders of the world and make them all like monster. No, there won't be a sequel. If there's a sequel to this, I'm not going to see it. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, silly movie, lots of fun.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.